It's mailbag time here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. Get your questions in right now by super chatting or by using hashtag Bears. And if you super chat, you can jump the line and get right in. Let's start with a super chat from Cameron. Appreciate the $5. I'm going to be at week 4 against the Lions. Would be amazing if that was Justin Fields' first game. What do you think, Harrison? I think that would be awesome. For your sake, I think that would be great if you got to see Justin Fields' first start in the NFL. I think it makes sense. I think Detroit might be the worst defense you play this year, so good opportunity to get him into a game against a lesser talented defense. So, yeah, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Cameron also had this one. Said, damn, you're good, Graham. You answered my super chat before it even showed up on screen. Bear down from Iowa. That's what we do. Super chats become the priority on this show. Next up is Pump. Should the Bears sign Daesean Hamilton? Didn't he tear his ACL? If you're signing him, you're stashing him for the future. He's probably not going to play this year. So, I don't really have interest there. Maybe next offseason he could be a depth wide receiver, but he's like a number 4 NFL wide receiver. He's probably better than like Riley Ridley, but he's hurt right now. So I don't really have any interest. Our resident Lions fan with the super chat, Don Burr, Detroit versus everyone, 3-14, Chicago. Hey, Don Burr, you know what? The fact that we take over an hour of your week every single week is we must be doing a good job. I appreciate the sarcasm, and if we get you, if you guys super chat, got to put them on screen. So you Bears fans got to sound out Don Burr here. Reed Howard, the Bears living in Don Burr's head rent-free. Have fun getting spanked by Fields for the next decade. I love it. That is exactly the response that you Bears fans need to respond to Don Burr, because you know what? Hey, if he super chats, we're obligated to put him on screen, and if he doesn't, then that's just the way it's going to go. So, Reed, very good super chat there. Let's go to Rodney Alcala. What type of season are you predicting for Khalil Mack? So, year 4 for Khalil in Chicago, traded to Chicago prior to 2018, and been a really good player. Obviously, he's been one of the best defensive players in the NFL. I'm not disputing that. That being said, I think this is a pretty big year for Mack. I need to see 9, 10, 11 sacks this year and him to continue to be one of those dominant forces in the National Football League, because if he's not, let's say he has like a 7-sack season and he's just pretty good, you could see Chicago start to shop him next year. Why would they shop Khalil Mack? Well, number 1, they don't have a first-round pick next year, so maybe you get some of that back. Number 2, you can get a little bit of cap relief starting next offseason if you dish him out. I'm not suggesting they should trade Khalil Mack. I'm saying if he dips in production, don't be shocked if they're at least willing to take calls at that point. Now, this to me is still one of the 5 or at least 10 most dominant defensive players in the NFL. Sure, he didn't have double-digit sacks last year, but he gets a ton of pressure. He plays the run really well. He's a very, very good football player, but I'd like to see double-digit sacks and see if he can, challenge a guy like Aaron Donald for being one of the most dominant players in the National Football League. So we'll see what happens, but I think it's a big year for Khalil Mack. So let me know, over under 10 sacks for Mack this season. Type O for over, type U for under. I think that's about the right over-under there. He's been just under 10 the last couple of seasons. You'd like to be over here. Maybe P for push if you think it's going to be exactly 10. Get your votes in, O for over or U for under, and we can debate it in the comments section. Speaking of over-unders, the NBA playoffs are underway, so you can go find any of those matchups, but you can also bet on anything related to sports. Chicago Bears, you can do MLB, whatever it is. Bet Rivers is the place for you. And we got 2 different links for you depending on where you're located. Chatsports.com/BetIL. That's for you Illinois folks. If you're in Indiana, go to chatsports.com/BetIN. You can sign up and deposit from anywhere and get that 100% deposit match from anywhere in the U.S., but to place a bet, you must be within one of those 2 state lines. Chatsports.com/BetIN for Indiana, chatsports.com/BetIL. And you can bet on the over-under win total for the Bears next season. The money to make good money is actually betting the over 7.5, which I know the schedule's tough. I know there's uncertainty on when Fields takes over. I think this Bears team can win 8 or more games, though. So plus 103, you can make a little more than your even odds there if you go that route. Minus 125 for under 7.5. I don't think that's a good value bet personally. I would bet the over, and you can do it at chatsports.com/BetIN. They'll get you a 100% deposit signing bonus once you sign up. What does that mean? Put in $100, get an extra 100 for free. Go ahead and check that out and make some money today. Don Berg giving me more money. Justin Field goals, not their QB failure. Hey, another QB failure, I think is what you meant, Don Berg. Hey, we'll take your money. Appreciate it. Adam White, what is the Bears ceiling and floor record-wise in your opinion? This is a really good question, as we just showed the over-unders that Vegas has right now at 7.5. I think the ceiling is probably like 11-6, and that's like, oh, if Fields comes in, lights it up in his rookie of the year, maybe 12-5 in that scenario. The floor is probably like 6-11. I think you're between 6 and 11 wins. Probably more like in the middle, 8-9, 9-8. I think that's what I would guess if I had to completely predict it, but yeah, I think 11-12 wins is the ceiling. Floor is probably 5-6 wins, but I think they'll win at least 6. Kevin Billups, are there any decent linemen or cornerbacks we can still afford? I think we are at least okay at every other position. I agree with that. I'd like to see them add an outside corner. I know they spoke highly, Sean Desai did, of Kendall Vildor during a rookie minicamp. He brought him up, so we'll see what happens there. Richard Sherman's still out there, obviously. There's some, Brian Poole's the top nickel out there. Offensive lineman-wise, there's not a lot of names left on the market. I actually think they're in good shape there overall, but cornerback is an area I would like to look at if I was Chicago. Joel Fernandez rocking the A-Rob Abbey there. Should we give Foles another chance since he had no O-line last season? So, start Foles and then go to Fields, and then what do you do with Dalton? I know a lot of you guys are like, cut Dalton and keep Foles. You can't cut Dalton. You just signed him. You're going to lose money if you do that. So, hey, here's the thing with Foles. You can't cut him, which, by the way, I think I misspoke last week. If you trade him post-June 1, you save $4 million, but if you cut him, you actually lose money. So they're not going to cut him. If they can trade him, they will. If not, his value will be, being a mentor for Justin Fields, but I think he'll be your third-string quarterback. I just don't see any other scenarios. Chris, will Nagy be more creative with play calling and formations again without Trubisky? I do think the offense will open up once Fields gets in there. We'll see how he calls the game with Andy Dalton. I don't know how creative you can get with him. I think you'll see a get the ball out of Dalton's hands offense. That's when he's been at his best. When he had two really high-level ceilings in Cincinnati, including kind of a fringe MVP season before he got hurt. This is, I think, 2015. Their offense was literally get the ball out in 2 seconds. That was the offense. So I think that would be the strategy with Dalton, and then unleash the offense with Fields. I think that's what will happen. If you love the Bears, subscribe right now because we're approaching 28,000 subscribers. You could be number 28,000, so don't wait any longer. YouTube.com/BearsNow, daily videos, weekly live shows. During the season, we'll have pregame shows and previews and live watch parties. We have a lot of fun, the latest news and rumors as well. Hit that subscribe button, share that link below with a friend. It's YouTube.com/BearsNow. Ezra, do you think Aaron Rodgers will get traded? Pretty quiet right now. I'd put it at two Smoking Jays, 50-50. I think he wants out. Can that be repaired? Sure. I think they could repair that relationship. I'd give it to Smoking Jays. People are talking, but there's no momentum one way or the other. Zach C., if the Bears had to trade for a starter, CB, number 2 receiver, 5 or safety or O-line, what position are you trading for? First of all, I think Darnell Mooney's your number 2 receiver. I think he had almost 700 yards last year with bad quarterback play. I think he's in line for a big season. I would trade for a corner, but again, remember, you don't have a first-round pick next year, so you got to be creative if you're going to trade. You don't want to just have no draft capital in 2022. Arrigo, who wins the wide receiver competition? Let's show the wide receiver depth chart here. Jack, we'll go ahead and bring that up, the wide receiver depth chart. I mentioned during our rumors and news portion, if you're watching live or if you're watching later on a video earlier this week, that only your top 2 guys are locks. Allen Robinson, Darnell Mooney, they're going to be on, excuse me, good grief. They're going to be on this roster no matter what. Out of Anthony Miller, Damiere Byrd, Marquise Goodwin, Daz Newsome, Riley Ridley, and Javon Wims, at least 2 of those guys are not going to be on this team. If I had to guess right now, I would say Ridley and Wims are not on this team. We'll see if that ends up being the case. Maybe they'll cut one of the speed guys and one of the other guys will make it, but I think they're valuing speed. They've shown us that this offseason. Zach, What game are you most excited for? Mine is Bears versus Bengals, Dalton's return. Well, that game's in Chicago, so it's not like a homecoming per se, but sure, that's fine. How about the first game we see Justin Fields? So whenever that happens is very exciting. I think from a just fun fan experience, about the game at Vegas in Week 5. You kidding me? A weekend in Vegas, little Bears Raiders action, hit the casinos after. Executive producer Sam, he's in for that. There's no doubt. Scott Hayes, are we going to see Fields versus Trubisky in the preseason? Bills fun. Yeah, we could definitely see that. Obviously, the Bears play the Bills in the preseason, so it's very possible that ends up happening. So, yeah, that could be very much a possibility. What year did you become a Bears fan? This is what I want to know from you guys. What year was it? Was it 2012? Was it 1987? Was it 2021? Maybe you became a Bears fan this year. I want to know from you guys, what year did you become a Chicago Bears fan? Just curious how long you guys have been repping the Bears. Christopher, who will be the number 2 running back? Oh, man. So David Montgomery, obviously RB1. I think the way I've been showing it is Damian Williams is RB2A and Tariq Cohen is RB2B. What does that mean? Damian Williams will be utilized more on the ground game, I believe. Tariq Cohen will line up at receiver some. They'll throw it to him out of the backfield. They'll use him in more gadget type of ways. And then Khalil Herbert will be your other running back. I think those are the 4 that'll make the roster. So Williams and Cohen kind of 2A and 2B there, Chris. Got another from Kevin Billups. Do you think Nagy has 2 separate playbooks for Dalton and Fields, or is he just going to make Dalton run Fields' plays? He won't do that. They asked him about that. The media did, or one of the interviews he's done recently. And he said, look, it's our job as coaches to call plays to Andy Dalton's strengths and to call plays to Justin Fields' strengths, depending on who is in there. So he's got one playbook, and then you tinker based on who's in there, right? Like certain plays for the Fields playbook, you're not going to call for Dalton. You know what I mean? It's one big playbook, but certain plays won't be called for certain quarterbacks. Like you're not going to run a quick speed option on the goal line with Andy Dalton probably. So think of it that way. And I think more vertical shots with Justin Fields. Murph26, I'm happy we're keeping Jimmy Graham. Played well last year, and we probably won't be spending much more on free agents, so it won't hurt us. Yeah, honestly, the more I've thought about it, I'm fine with keeping Jimmy Graham. I think that they value his veteran leadership, and he's still a good red zone target. I thought when they signed him that it was an overpay, and maybe it still is, but you know what? 8 touchdowns last year. Give me another 6+ this year. I'd like to see more Cole Kmet, but still utilize Graham in the red zone. Yeah, if he gives you 5-6 touchdowns, that's very valuable. Martin, how is the new beard coming in? Well, you guys can see it a little. Look, I can grow a baller beard. There's no doubt about that. No one can dispute it here at Chat Sports. Best beard in the office. But I'm not one of these people that can just grow a beard overnight. Like you see some of these, like I got a cousin who he wakes up and he's got a beard. It's like, oh, that sucks for him. He's got to shave every day. It takes time, couple weeks. It'll be coming in nice and gnarly, and we'll be chasing that Ryan Fitzpatrick beard in no time. K down with the super chat. Appreciate it, my man. Week 11 versus the Ravens will be Fields' first start. So he's saying after the bye week in Week 10. If that happens, I'm fine with it, and here's why. That means that the Bears have won enough games and have been competitive with Andy Dalton. They will not wait this long if Chicago's like 2-7, for example. At least I don't think so. So if that happens, that means, hey, you're around 500 probably, and you're looking for Fields to give you a playoff push late in the season. So sure, I'm down. AKA Chicago, Robert Quinn bounce back here? Hopefully. I mean, he doesn't have to do much for it to be a bounce back here, right? Can he give you 5 sacks? Seriously, like, can he be a 5-sack guy? If he does, I'm fine with it. Look, they overpaid. We all know that. Nothing he can do outside of being an all-pro this year is going to amend that contract. But if he gives you 5-6 sacks, plays a little better against the run, which he's not great at to begin with, but if he can be more of a force off the edge, then yeah, that would be a bounce back year. And I think he will play better. I think he will play better this year because, hey, it can't be much worse than it was last season. Dawson, who will be the Bears' 2021 MVP? It's a good question. I'll say Khalil Mack on defense, Allen Robinson on offense, or David Montgomery. Not ready to commit to a quarterback because we don't know how many games each of the guys will start. A-Rob / Montgomery on offense. And then on defense, probably Khalil Mack. I think it's going to be a very, very big year for Khalil Mack. So go ahead and you can get your votes in too. Who will be the Bears' 2021 MVP? If you missed any of your questions on today's show, if you didn't get your question in, that's why you follow me on Twitter, @HGramNFL. You can DM me. You can ask me more Bears questions over there, and I will answer them for you guys @HGramNFL.